Perfect. So the first thing that we're going to cover is standard shopping. Now, we are heavily smart shopping, and by good reason. It's always the campaign that performs the best for e-commerce in our experience. The reason why you'd run a standard shopping campaign, a few things. One main reason is because you'll see here in smart shopping, you don't actually get search terms, and obviously keywords are non-existent in shopping, but standard shopping gives you search terms. Smart shopping does not. It's by design. Smart shopping does not give you the search terms, the people that they don't give you the data that people are searching when they see your shopping ad. So when you run a smart shopping campaign, a lot of times you don't have a clear visibility as to how Google is interpreting your feed. I'm going to pull up the chat here just so I can make sure I can see that while I'm doing this. So whoops, there we go. So when you have a standard shopping campaign, you'll have a tab over here called keywords. And under keywords, you'll see search terms. And the search terms will tell you what Google is matching your products with. So it'll say these people, these 10 searches came in and they all have these 10 keywords and 10 key phrases that they're searching for. And that is how Google is interpreting your feed. So when they say, here's the search terms, you're like, those don't look necessarily relevant. Or it could be those look absolutely relevant. And this is really, really good. I'll give you an example of one that we just ran, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I like using examples so that you can see. But here's the standard shopping campaign. And let me see exactly when we ran this, because we didn't run it for very long. Yeah, so we ran it from May 3rd to the 8th. So not that bad. So I'm just going to go to May 1st, and then I'm going to go to May 18th, so I can kind of share with you a timeline. I'll do the 19th. So when we're looking at the shopping campaigns here, what you'll see, let me turn off the segmentation. Go to campaigns, smart shopping and standard shopping. Both had about the same cost, 744 and 647. The standard shopping campaign had 12 conversions, smart shopping had 60. And you can see that we spent $647 to make 353 and 744 to make 2,000. So you can see the smart shopping is clearly better. And this is a campaign that's been up and running for a while. And we actually had smart shopping paused during the time that standard shopping was running. You'll see this dip right here. But what's important to know is that the reason why I ran a standard shopping campaign alongside of a smart shopping campaign after being optimized is I wanted to see this. If you click on standard shopping, and you'll see that the keywords tab is here. Now in smart shopping, you don't get a keyword tab. In standard shopping, you do get a keyword tab. And you don't use keywords, but what you look at is search terms. And now search terms, you can see that we had, best taco sauces, order sriracha online. It will show up for some branded. That's one thing that I knew it was going to happen, but I was okay with it just because we were running a brand campaign at this time. I wanted to see how much was branded, how much was other type of searches. Tiger sauce, adobo sauce brands, agave. So there's a lot of good sauce keywords here. But what I was looking at is what was really the commonalities between the best Chipotle, best dipping sauces. I didn't run this long enough alongside dynamic marketing to start to get conversions. This isn't where I'm going to be looking for conversions. It is interesting that smart shopping was a lot better because that's usually the SOP. But I get to see how is Google, best hot sauces. Great. This is a hot sauce company. They have Chipotle hot sauce, they have sriracha, they have jalapeno, they have a bunch of different sauces. But I'm looking at how is my feed being interpreted by Google. And we're going to go through negative keywords here. But what I noticed is that, and I can't pull it up now because we already kind of quote unquote fixed it. But in the products here, what was interesting is this product here that sells the most is the 9.8 original hot sauce variety 5-pack. When I looked at what was Google interpreting in the feed, what was the search terms that were coming about that were most common, and what was the most generic keyword I could use to optimize my feed, I noticed that this sauce here said 9.8 original variety 5-pack. It did not have the word hot sauce in it. And because it didn't have the word hot sauce in it, but it was still the best performing product, When I ran my test and I paused it and then I came back, let me just see if I have enough data just yet. So yeah, see here. So we got a little bit better of a ROAS, 27% increase in ROAS. But what was interesting is I didn't have the word hot sauce in here. And so when I'm looking through my standard shopping, I'm saying, well, how is Google interpreting my feed? What is the one main most search keyword that is most relevant that I could add to the title so that I can have my best performing products show up in Google Ads more often? Now, the description said hot sauce, and they had descriptions of all the hot sauce, and that was what was carrying this item through, was that the descriptions of hot sauces that they labeled each one was helpful in Google identifying the feed. But the title didn't have hot sauce. So after I added the title, the ROAS did go up because I had a fairly tight ROAS set. I had a 275 ROAS, and it ended up going up a little bit more. But it had a little bit less clicks and a little bit less impressions. That's okay. That was kind of by design. My focus is return on ad spend. So because I was able to use standard shopping to interpret, hot sauce was kind of the clear, most relevant term. There's a lot of other terms out there, but I wanted to go off of volume. I wanted to see what had the most volume, the most relevancy, and then add that to my product title so that I can have that product have a better performance. And after adding hot sauce, the ROAS did go up by 27%, which was good. I wasn't using standard shopping to see, it was going to be better than smart shopping. It is good to test that once in a while. I already knew that the feed was good because the campaign performs well. But that was the reason why you would use standard shopping alongside of smart shopping. Now, there's a second reason why you'd run standard shopping alongside of smart shopping. And we're going to actually do that in a client's account today. We're going to actually build one, and I'm going to run it for some time because I want to run the same test again. So I'm going to be doing this in an existing campaign so you can kind of see how it's set up. Just because my other feed, I had to remove it to do data feed watch, and I just didn't resubmit it, so I don't have a feed. But the standard operating procedure is going to be the exact same. But when you run a standard shopping campaign in the beginning, in a brand new account, what you're doing is you're helping smart shopping get its targeting. Smart shopping is not only on the shopping network. I'm going to stop sharing here because I'll explain this. Smart shopping is not only on the shopping network. That's one of the 5. Smart shopping goes on search, display, goes on shopping, goes on YouTube, and goes on GSP. They have 5 different areas that smart shopping will go outbound and inbound at the same time. We remember discussing the search with display select. Basically means are people searching something and is it relevant? And we're going to start showing them display ads on all the channels. It even builds you a search ad as well. It will build a search ad. It's a very, very powerful network. So what it does is it starts to learn. And if it's the only campaign that you're running, it will start to learn and it will start to perform. But if you can supplement it with other campaigns like a standard shopping campaign, that doesn't really have the smart factor built in. It doesn't do search with display select. Shopping is on all of the networks, but only inbound. It doesn't start to go outbound and start to target those people. The outbound targeting is what is extremely valuable. It's not just the inbound search. The outbound targeting is why smart shopping performs really, really well. It's like a huge display campaign that you only pay if someone clicks and it has the ROAS goal built into it. So because when you run a standard shopping campaign at the same time, you start to get those inbound searches very quickly. A smart shopping campaign may take 5 days to get up and running, and then another 30 days to start to get good performance, or just any performance. Standard shopping will get 100 clicks today if you wanted to. It doesn't have that smartness built into it, especially when you run manual CPC, which is what we're going to do. So when you run a standard shopping campaign, you start to say, oh, the people that are searching these, the people that click on the ads, they go to the website. That's the first indicator. The click. Do they click and do they visit? Okay, that's the first indicator that is the type of search term and audience that the people are searching. Smart shopping learns that. Then after they click, how many pages did they go to? How many products did they view? How long did they stay? Did they add any items to the cart? What was the most viewed product when they visited? Did they buy or did they leave? So those are all things that standard shopping teaches smart shopping from an inbound network only. That inbound audience is very valuable to Google because you're teaching it. Here's what the people's age, sex, location, interest, hobbies, demographics, affinities, all the other stuff that smart shopping needs to build that audience to say, okay, if I find other people that look like this, I will go out and find them. That takes time in smart shopping, but that time can be greatly reduced when in the next 4 days you build the campaigns we're building, competitor ads, who visits the competitors, your brand, who is coming back and Googling your brand name when they're ready to buy, who is searching for any other keywords that you haven't thought of, DSA, who is searching on e-commerce type of applications that are ready to buy, standard shopping. So all of these campaigns that we're going to build out helps smart shopping, but smart shopping should be still your main campaign. So I'm going to teach you how to build a standard shopping campaign to run alongside a smart shopping campaign, because in the 3X group, we let the Google Ads app launch it for us. We're going to do a standard shopping campaign manually, and it's very, very similar to a smart shopping campaign, so it shouldn't take too much time. That'll begin. So the first thing that we're going to do is on your main screen here, we're going to click the blue plus symbol for the campaign. We're going to say new campaign. We want sales because that's going to be on the shopping network. And then we're going to click shopping. And it's going to ask you two things. First is select a merchant center. Now you should only have one merchant center, so it should automatically select the merchant center account that you have linked. And it's going to say select the country where the products are sold. And obviously you want to select the country that your feed is opted in for. And then this is going to say like, hey, you already have a smart shopping campaign. It defaults to a smart shopping campaign. We're going to click the standard shopping campaign because we're going to set up one on just standard shopping without smart. So then we click continue. Now, I always like to name the campaign standard shopping or smart shopping. It's a way for us to easily identify the campaign's name and what the difference is. So I'm going to say standard shopping. Now, inventory filter, this, if you wanted to, you can filter out a specific product. In my opinion, same goes for smart shopping. I always run all products first. If you don't want to run a specific product, I'll show you a better way to do it than the filter after this campaign gets up and running. So my opinion is just leave this go for right now. You don't have to select the inventory filter. Local products, if you are opted into local stores, that's actually through Merchant Center. You can enable this. We're not on this one. We're strictly e-commerce, and that's kind of what this is built for, is e-commerce, nationwide or global, wherever you want to go. Campaign URL options. This again is that tracking template that we've discussed in 3X. But the tracking template here, since it is kind of a refresh course our first time into Google Ads, if you wanted to use a campaign URL option, this is a good way to track, especially for running standard versus smart, which campaign is bringing more conversions. Again, Google's going to tell you that. My opinion is I don't really see a big need for campaign URL options for tracking templates in standard shopping versus smart shopping. They're both going to be from the shopping campaign. We can set this one up at the account level, or we can set up in campaign level. But I think that you all have seen the campaign URL builder that Google provides to you, and when you can add it as either a final URL suffix or a tracking template. But this is where you would enter in the tracking template information here. And let me just grab that link in case anybody wants to know. Google. This is one that comes right from Google, and I'll just drop that in here just in case anybody wants it. This is again where we set up the campaign website and then the source, medium, and campaign name, and then you can add that so that if you're on Shopify, Shopify tracks it for you automatically, so it's not really a big issue. I think that's more of if you have the plan, I think it's Shopify Plus, they'll actually start to track UTM parameters for you automatically. But that's where you enter in the campaign URL options here. Bidding and budget. So I like manual CPC for standard shopping campaigns. The reason why I like manual CPC is I get to set my initial starting point for standard shopping. I know that my smart shopping campaign is going to perform better. I like to start with manual CPC first, and I actually like to start it without an enhanced first, because in standard shopping, I like to start low and then work my way up. And what that means is I'm going to start at a very low bid, see what type of traffic I can achieve. And then for my higher profitability or my better selling items, I like to start to get those products to have a lot more impressions and clicks than my low priority products. And so I actually don't run enhanced in the beginning. Enhanced, especially in the beginning, Google is not going to know where those conversions are going to come from yet. So with enhanced CPC, Google can, the latest literature that they actually gave you a statistic said that it can go 250% over your max CPC. in order to achieve what it is trying to get, what it's trying to optimize for, which is either a conversion or conversion value. In my opinion, if you just wanted to use this, use conversion value, don't use for conversions, because then cart value is taken into consideration. If you spend $5 to make 2 sales, and if those two sales are $1, Google thinks, hey, I got conversions, I'm optimizing. But if those conversions are $1 and the conversion value is selected, the conversion value will be lower. So it says, hey, I spent $5, made 2, something's wrong. So use conversion value for anything e-commerce based, unless your cart value is just awesome and you just don't care. But conversion value is where I would select it if you wanted to use enhanced CPC. My opinion, though, in the beginning, don't start with enhanced, because what this does is essentially overlays like maximize conversions on top of manual CPC, which means, okay, I know you want $5, but I think I can get a sale if I get $12.50. Well, yeah, I mean, especially in the beginning, it's always going to overshoot the budget and overshoot the bid, because it's going to just try to get as many sales as possible. It's optimizing for conversion value. So don't do it in the beginning, my opinion, because you want to have full control over that to start to scale it when you find it appropriate for specific products. What if you run standard shopping for years in the past, but the campaigns have been paused for a couple of years? If you've run standard shopping, Michael, and it's even been paused for a couple of years, if you've been running smart shopping since then, or if you have not been running shopping at all, you're kind of in an equal playing field right now. What that means is that smart shopping, no shopping at all. So do you have conversions with conversion value currently in the campaigns? Even from search or anything like that? Just brand is still good enough to run smart shopping on its own. The company Notchgear that I'm talking about has a 425% return on ad spend from 2 campaigns, and I started with those 2 campaigns. I didn't run a lot of other campaigns for very long at all, just because YouTube was good, but he didn't have a big budget to really test. So I just said, hey, I'm going to use brand and smart shopping, and that's it. This campaign's been running for a very long time for that. So it started with brand, had some good brand conversions. Smart shopping was able to pick up and learn from that. I would build this one as well, just to see how is smart shopping going to be, how is Google going to be interpreting your feed? If they are interpreting your feed incorrectly, you're going to save yourself, a couple months possibly of trying to get smart shopping to optimize off of the wrong keywords. Then those standard shopping search terms are going to tell you, do you think your titles and your descriptions are accurate enough to get good search terms? If you're just running smart shopping, you're not going to know that yet. You have to wait for Google to learn that. Waiting for Google to learn that means spending money on impressions, click, and not getting the sales for it to say, "Oop, that was wrong," and start to change. So it's just more expensive starting off with just smart shopping, but again, it's still very powerful. It just might not be as optimized as quickly. But if you have good conversions and it's in brand, I would still start with manual CPC without enhanced enabled, just because I'm going to run it alongside of a smart shopping campaign. And I know my smart shopping campaign is going to be more valuable. I'm going to have a bigger budget on smart shopping campaign. And I'm just going to use my standard shopping campaign to help it learn quicker and to see how the feed is working. But my main campaign is still going to be smart shopping. We are going to turn off our old standard shopping campaign after smart shopping campaign is up and running. And I'll tell you why in a second here. Our old shopping campaign at ROAS 6.5 so you perform well. I would just launch smart shopping then, maybe not even use standard shopping. And that's not always going to be the case for everyone here. If you have an old standard shopping campaign that has 6.5, if it's not branded, remember, standard shopping campaign will be heavily branded. So make sure that you go through the search terms for the last X amount of months, look at the most amount of conversions. If the majority of them, even half of them are your brand, it might not really necessarily be a good conversion for cold traffic. It was just, hey, people are coming through your brand campaign, we're coming through your brand campaign when they Googled your brand just through shopping. And as an example, if I did, there's a company called, but they have a, if you notice here, this is a product that's technically a branded search. So this right here, this is on a smart shopping campaign. The product name did show up in the title because obviously that's the title, the product title. So if you see that a lot of your products or your, if a lot of your sales are coming from the product name or the brand name on standard shopping, and you didn't already add in a negative keyword, in my opinion, I would start with smart shopping first, just because you're just kind of duplicating your brand campaign. Okay, so let's start with manual CPC without enhanced enabled. Budget, again, choose a budget that's appropriate. I'm going to say $20 a day because this is a campaign I already have Smart Shopping running. The Smart Shopping is trying to spend, I think $300 or $400 per day. So I'm going to launch this one again. For me, this is a campaign that's already up and running. For you in the beginning, if you have $100 a day, have your Smart Shopping campaign be at least $50 of it. Your search campaign should be at least $20. That's 70. Then put this one at maybe 20 or maybe 10. Again, we usually like to say try to start with some higher budgets because that's going to teach this the fastest. But if you had a hierarchy of campaigns, it would be Smart Shopping first, your search, and then Smart Shopping, or sorry, then Standard Shopping. Standard Shopping is going to be after your search campaign in terms of budgeting, just because this is not going to perform as well, but it will spend very, very fast. So limit that. Make sure that you're giving this enough time so that you're not wasting all of your ad spend on Standard Shopping, and Smart Shopping has equal value, but just not running as quickly. You're gonna waste a lot of money very quickly. So limit the amount of spend that your Standard Shopping campaign can run. Especially when you're running manual, you're gonna be able to control the bid. You're not gonna be like, oh, I had a $20 bid today or clicked and just blew out the whole campaign. That's why it's safer, or that's why it's safe to start with a smaller amount of budget, because we're gonna control the bids without having Google increase it on us without our knowledge, I guess, or without our consent. Now, campaign priority. This is when you're running multiple shopping campaigns in conjunction with each other. Before Smart Shopping, you kind of set up your own Standard Shopping campaigns by multi-campaign. Sometimes it was product category, sometimes it was by product sales. Like if I have my best-selling items, I know I can spend a crazy amount of money and I can build whatever I want. Or you have some campaign or some products that are new. So you set those on low priority so that if they ever overlap between other campaigns, the other campaign will win. In my opinion, even what's funny is for this one, I always run just one Standard Shopping campaign, and my Smart Shopping campaign acts like the multi-pronged Standard Shopping campaigns. It's new. So this is kind of an older tab here that I don't really use at all, just because I only run one Standard Shopping campaign. And the funny part is you can even set this campaign on high. And if you're running a Standard Shopping campaign and a Smart Shopping campaign, what will happen is the Smart Shopping campaign will simply just take over. If you run a Standard Shopping and a Smart Shopping, when Smart Shopping has enough data to run on its own, Standard Shopping will just simply die off. And you'll see that you can't spend more than like 50 cents a day. Because Smart Shopping says, yeah, I'm on the shopping network for all of the terms that Standard Shopping would, but Smart Shopping defaults to the highest priority, higher than high. This can be high and Smart Shopping will still overtake it. Smart Shopping will still control the whole narrative. Smart Shopping is the most selfish campaign in Google Ads. It steals conversions away from YouTube. It overshows more than your dynamic remarketing. It is the main campaign, but for good reason. It works the best. So campaign priority, you can set it to whatever you'd like here because we're only gonna have one. So this doesn't really matter at all. Smart Shopping is automatically, and you'll see when we set up a Smart Shopping campaign, Smart Shopping doesn't even have a campaign priority. It's always just maxed out. Now on the network, I always run these two here, search and YouTube Gmail Discover. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a smart targeting without dynamic remarketing built in, but it doesn't necessarily have the smart outbound targeting that Smart Shopping has. It doesn't have the search with display select like Standard Shopping does, or Smart Shopping does. So run this on both networks just because Google is going to learn from all these networks and how they interact, and they're going to watch the people. Smart Shopping is more like, even if, let's say, Cosm, I had a 400% ROAS and Cosm was searching that day, and Smart Shopping says, I don't think Cosm's going to convert, so I'm not going to show my ad anywhere to Cosm. Standard Shopping will be like, yeah, here you go, here, Cosm, here's all of them. You can see it. Smart Shopping pushes away those people, so that's why it spends less with a higher ROAS. But in the beginning, we want everybody because we want to see how this is going to perform. Devices, it shows on all devices by default. You don't have any control over that. Locations, again, pick your country, or if you wanted to start in a small area. My opinion is we never start with just the Southwest unless it's a product that can only be used in the Southwest or something like that. Again, that's a very, very rare form, but I always just default with United States. The next thing that I would say is this is important. The target, presence in or regularly in your target locations. Please don't use this one just because this is one that can actually show it says recommended, but this can actually show to people that are not necessarily in the United States. Even though your feed is only approved in the United States, and even though your targeting is only set to the United States, someone in Australia who has interest in the United States could potentially see your shopping ads. That is, or even on your display on YouTube as an example. So only use this one. Presence people in or regularly in your target locations. This is really important because then Google ended up hiding. We used to have user location report for my veterans here. They had user location report. User location report is gone, and now it's under matched locations in your location setting. It's a drop down that's over on the right, not a main menu item anymore. Because I think, in my opinion, people were probably seeing this and being like, "Why is it showing up in Australia? That doesn't make sense." So they just got rid of that, and they kind of quote unquote hid it. So use a targeted presence people in or regularly in target locations. Exclude people in your exclude locations. Don't exclude the people in regularly in or who've shown interest in your exclude locations. That one can get bad. If you're in Arizona and you excluded Nevada, well, people in Arizona like Vegas, and so people have interest in Nevada and they are excluded in seeing your ads because they have an interest in location that you've excluded. So this is probably the one time that Google recommended a good thing. Keep that here. Start date and end date, again, in my opinion. Did I make sure that was did I select the right ones? Just make sure. Yep, okay. The start date and end date, again, you can pause the campaign, you can remove a campaign. I see no reason to ever use an end date unless you just have an A/B test that you have to know if you forget or not paying attention, it will shut off. But again, for
question there, John.
Yeah.
Our experience in Facebook has been that if you have an end date, this is anecdotal, I have no way to prove it, but we've seen it often enough to where I believe it. If you add an end date, Facebook deprioritizes your campaigns. Do you think Google does the same thing?
Could be.
It would make sense, right? Because they're like, oh, I have two advertisers, one who's going to be advertising evergreen in perpetuity and one who has an end date. If I have to choose between the two, I mean, I'd build that in algorithmically.
Yeah, unless, or maybe there's a spend threshold. Like if you spend less than like $5,000, or you've been spending less than $5,000 for like 5 years. If you're just starting off and you have an end date, yeah, they'll probably deprioritize you. Just on the side note too, you probably won't even run long enough to get a good quality score if you set an end date for like a month from now. So you'll probably just be the negative beneficiary of that less learning. But yeah, that would make sense. I don't have any way to prove that or seen that because I never really set an end date. But yeah, it made sense.
Well, there really would be no way unless you did like a massive split test that would cost too much to have a definitive result. But just a note for everybody here, I've seen it in Facebook. Yvonne spotted it actually. And it's worth thinking about with stuff like Google. Forgive the interruption.
No, that's a good note. In your ad group, you can always just say like ad group 1 or standard shopping ad group. We're only going to have one ad group because I'm going to actually show you a different product group inside of ad groups and how to turn on and turn off specific products. Again, this isn't the normal way to build out a standard shopping campaign. This is only the way to build out a standard shopping campaign when you're running it alongside of a smart shopping campaign. So rather than building out ad groups by products or by ROAS or by profitability or by popularity, the way you would normally do this, we're going to let smart shopping do that, and we're just going to run one to start the learning process. So I usually just say, standard shopping ad group. Now bid for e-commerce, a good starting bid, in my opinion, if you don't want to be aggressive at all, if you just want to dip your toe into the standard shopping ecosystem and you don't have any campaigns that have ever run to get what may be an average CPC for a shopping network, I would start with 50 cents. Smart shopping network is cheap, and then start to increase, knowing that you're going to increase soon. If you said, hey, I'd like to just start this, I'm okay with budget, let's learn a little while, pick $1, $1.50. If you said, hey, I know I'm going to start this, but my impressions and clicks may be just very, very, very low, almost non-existent, like maybe 100 impressions a day and 2 clicks per day, then just know that you're going to have to hop in there and batch update all of your products to start to see where the level of interest is going to come in. Remember, on standard shopping especially, on the shopping portion on the Google SERP, the search engine results page, the more you pay per click, the better your position is. So 50 cents might get you like 3 expanded tabs over, which you're very rarely going to get a lot of impressions and clicks there. So just know that your positioning on your bids are going to be where you start to see your product get more and more performance. We have since we're obviously an agencies hire us, and then if we wanted to run this campaign, they say, I searched for my product and I couldn't find it. I'm all the way at the end. That's what happens is you start low and you work your way up to find out how much do I have to pay before I can get that level of traffic that I need. So again, I'm just gonna for ease of ease of explanation today. I'm just going to say $1. And then I'm going to create my campaign. Yay. Okay. Do we have a chat? I saw the little yellow
John
box.
said, I appreciate you, John. Never bothers me that you take the time to explain things. It's also fun to watch you whiz through it.
Oh, yeah. It's funny, like that right there took, what, 10 seconds? Like it doesn't take actual long when you actually have to push the buttons. It's the strategy that you're going to be learning today. Okay. So now, here's a standard shopping campaign. In the standard shopping campaign, I just have my standard shopping ad group. Now, this is what I like to do. Now, again, in Google, I like to say that Google is a canvas and your Google Ads Manager is a painter with a paintbrush. A lot of people have different ways to do certain things. This isn't the only way to set this up. This is the way that I like. So if you have a different experience or you like doing it a different way and you're experiencing this, again, the only reason why we'd run a standard shopping campaign is to help smart shopping. This campaign is going to be shut off, usually within the first 45 days. It'll die so much that you have to shut it off. I tried running a standard shopping campaign in that Yellowbird Foods alongside my smart shopping campaign. It got like 1 impression a week. It just didn't go anywhere. I had to pause my smart shopping campaign just to let my standard shopping campaign run. I figured as much, but I wanted to make sure, and I was right. So the reason why I like running it this way, and the way I'm going to show you how to set this up, is because this is exactly the same way I set up our smart shopping campaigns. Because smart shopping is actually kind of restrictive in the way that you set it up. Google does not like you to use more than one campaign. We'll show you the exceptions to the rule of when you can run more than one smart shopping campaign. But I like running this way because I'm going to mirror the same optimizations that I'm going to make in my smart shopping campaign. So you want to, and here's how this works. You want to make sure that you're on the parent category here, the campaign of standard shopping. And then in the product group tab, when you hover over this, you're going to see a plus symbol. This plus symbol is going to say add a subdivision. And I like to add my subdivision, clicking on that drop down by item ID. Item ID will give you every single product here. Now, what I like to do is I like to highlight them all. And then I like to continue to edit bids. If you need to, if you wanted to, you can have your product here and you can set your CPCs by the specific product. So if you know that this chair has a 10% return on ad spend and you only want to start off with like a 25% or 25-cent bid because you really don't want a lot of traffic to that, but it'd be nice if that thing sold for, a 5% conversion rate because you didn't pay for that traffic too much. Or if you're like, hey, this is my best selling item, I need this one to start off like with the least most amount of conversions and most amount of impressions and clicks, you might set that a little more aggressively. Again, this is up to you. I don't have an industry standard for every industry because some people run off 800% margins, some people run off 10. It's really just up to your individual, business prowess to know what you want to pay for that specific item. I'm going to leave this default at $1 just for explanation and actually because I'd like to run this at $1 against my smart shopping campaign to see if I needed to pay a little bit more for anything. But this is where you would edit it, or if you needed to exclude it. So when you click on $1, you know that you can either change this from $1 to $2, or you can exclude this item. Now, again, I don't exclude items from this view yet. I'll show you a better view because it might be easier for people here on where to exclude items. But just know that this is where you can change your bids. Now, when I click save, what you'll see here is that once I save, you're going to see a bunch of different product groups here. When you go to the standard campaign here on the left-hand side, and you look at products, each product is in here. Some are out of stock. That's okay. That's just out of stock. But each product's in here. These are all the different sizes. Again, this client is not on Shopify. This client was actually from Volusion, and Volusion didn't have parent and subcategories. So that's a whole different topic for a different story. We had to set it up this way just because Volusion, in my opinion, I don't ever talk bad about CMS, but Volusion was horrible. Horrible. Couldn't do dynamic remarketing, couldn't you run Facebook product ads because they didn't have any integration with Facebook. I'm like, how are you a CMS and not being able to send your product list to Facebook? So that's a whole different topic for another story. Anyway, or a whole different story for another time. But this is all the products here. And here's what's nice is when you look at your product groups, when you hover over them, each product group is just going to have one product, and it'll tell you the product. When you hover over it, it'll say, hey, this is the product that was in here. This is really nice because you're going to get individual impressions and clicks by product. And if you ever wanted to, and you're like, you know what, this product is doing terribly, you can just simply exclude it. So it gives you a very easy view. All of your products are all separate into individual product groups, and you can turn on and turn off those product groups inside one campaign. And if you wanted to say, hey, this product's doing terrible, exclude it. This product's doing really, really well, you can increase it, your CPCs here. Gives you a really nice view. And also, when you look at it, your product groups, your item ID, it gives you a picture. So it's just easier to see that way. And then it gives you the title, and you can click into it and you can see the individual performance of that product. So that's the way that I like to set it up, because that's the way that Smart Shopping you'll see here. Smart Shopping set up the same exact way. When you click between Standard Shopping and Smart Shopping, it's identical. Now, each individual product group, you're going to be able to set the CPC bids. So when you click on product groups, these are all your product groups. This is where you're going to be able to either increase it, decrease it, or exclude it. Now, when you're running Standard Shopping and Smart Shopping at the same time, if you have been running Smart Shopping, or if you're already running Smart Shopping for some time, you may start Standard Shopping and your Smart Shopping campaign will just simply overtake it, and you won't get any impressions or clicks. It's okay to pause your standard or your Smart Shopping campaign if you're running a Standard Shopping campaign, because the learning process continues, and it continues via the same SKU, GTIN, MPM, etc. And it goes to the same page. It's not like, oh, if I pause my Smart Shopping campaign, is this going to dip and die and stop learning? Standard Shopping will take over the learning process from there. So it's okay to pause a Smart Shopping campaign if you've already been running a Smart Shopping campaign for a Standard Shopping campaign. But this is the way that I like to set it up, because in the beginning, it gives me a very easy, controllable dashboard. Like I say, is the product doing good? What's my bid, and should I increase it? Plus, each individual product group, you get all of the good competitive metrics. So competitive metrics, you get search impression share, search absolute, search lost impression share by rank, what's your click share, which is the overall how many clicks you could have received on all of the networks, or sorry, on the search network divided by all of the searches. This basically says like, hey, what's your exact market penetration if everything was equal? Like if you bid $1 million a click and you had $1 million a day, that's your ceiling threshold for click share. Benchmark CTR, benchmark product price difference, all of the good competitive metrics all on one area here. So you can see what your cost per conversion is, your conversion rate. You have your conversions in here, so you can say my conversion, my cost per conversion, my conversion value, my conversion rate, my ROAS, all that good stuff here is all delivered. So looking at your individual product performance, you can set your bids up and down or exclude. Any questions here so far? Oh, we do have one. Does Google still have a limit to the number of product groups you can have within one ad group? I have, I think almost 500,000 in one, if I remember correctly. Like 574, maybe 1,000, like something over 500,000. So I haven't ran into that in a long time. I would say probably since 2017 is the last time I ran into that. So I haven't seen that, but now most of our clients only have like, I think, so maybe it was a limit on the number of ad groups. I was thinking maybe, yeah, we had 500,000 products in one ad group, and it didn't, or one product group, and it didn't have an issue. So maybe it was ad group. Yeah, I haven't ran into the ad group issue for a long time, just because I've been doing it the same way for a long time, just sticking all the products into one product group. Again, I have better performance in search campaigns and DSA campaigns than I do in Standard Shopping. That's what we're going to be teaching you. So I haven't built out Standard Shopping the traditional way in a few years, just because I have better performance almost everywhere else every single time. Just because the main difference is Standard Shopping used to be the good Google Ads way, or Google Ads Manager way, to use your own kind of smart bidding. And then with the rise of the last few years, how smart bidding actually has become valuable, because back in the day, it was like, no, you run manual, you never use smart bidding. Those things are stupid. Now smart bidding has gotten a lot better. And so it's kind of overtaken the way that you would normally traditionally manually set up your Standard Shopping campaigns. So, I think that there's a few factors that work. Smart Shopping is better than Standard Shopping. Smart bidding is better than manual bidding for the most part. I wouldn't be it'd be an ignorant statement to say that as a hard fast rule that smart bidding is always going to be better than manual bidding. It's not, but for the most part it is. So I think that there's been other heavily influenced shifts in Google Ads ecosystem that have rendered standard shopping almost obsolete, in my opinion. So, but now what's nice about this is I get to see the keywords. I get to see the search terms. You can't use negative keywords in smart shopping. So it's just something to be aware of. A lot of people might think, well, what if I just add the negative keywords in my standard shopping campaign and then also add those to my smart shopping campaign? You can't. When you try to add a negative keyword to a smart shopping campaign, it simply says an error has occurred. Like it won't tell you, oh, you can't do that. It just says an error has occurred. So you can't add a negative keyword to a smart shopping campaign, unfortunately. So that's how this works here. Any questions about the standard shopping setup? I end up with a lot of product variants, product size, difference, etc. when setting up shopping campaigns like this. Any insight on dealing with product variants in shopping campaigns? So yes, when you do have different product variants, I haven't seen a negative effect on it, but a way to optimize that, in my opinion, would be to choose the one that's most popular. So let's say you have a t-shirt and you have an extra small, medium, large, extra large, and extra large, and triple XL. And you notice that if you have been running for some time with all those product variants, what is the product variant that has the best performance? Now, that doesn't mean that that product has sold the most, but what is the best product that has the best click-through rate, cost per click, cost per conversion, and conversion value with ROAS? You'll have one of those variants be the best. I would shut off the other ones and keep that one variant the best because that's the best performing product that is clicked on initially. If everyone was here and I said, here's a large shirt and here's a quadruple XL, which one would everyone click on majority of the time? Probably the large shirt. I know I would, unless you're a triple XL, which it would be the person click on that, but that is not the norm. That's not the standard size. So what happens is, and I don't mean to say that it's not like fat shaming or anything. I'm just trying to. I'm a husky guy. I wear large and extra large, so do each their own. But the large shirts normally are the most popular in the United States. That earns you the click. It doesn't matter if that earned you that purchase. That earned you the click. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the product that earned you the click. So if you have 5 variants and one variant always outperforms the other ones, if you shut off the other ones, you're going to either push away people that didn't want the product, or they're still going to like it so much that they click and then simply just choose their own size, which everyone does. You don't really buy, you don't click on it and be like, man, that's a size 8 shoe. I'm a size 10. I can't click on that. No, you click on it and then you just go find the size that you want. You select from the drop down. So if you have a lot of product variances and you have been running, then select the one that has the best performance. If you have a lot of product variants and you haven't been running, run it. See what the best performing item is, because the way that Google Ads works is your products are just like your ads. Right now, we're kind of saying, I have 5 different responsive search ads. Which one should I shut off? Well, let's shut off the one that doesn't perform well, because those will all lead to a conversion. What's the best performing ad? That's the same way that Google looks at your products and the same way that people look at the products. What is the one that might be the cheapest? Because that earned the click. If it's the least expensive variable. That's something that we see a lot of times, is the least expensive variable actually is the one that earns a click, and then they upsell themselves by choosing hit, run, steal. The other client that we have, they have a hitting net, and they have the hitting net. They have a hitting net with a bucket of 12 balls, a hitting net with a bucket of 24 balls, a hitting net, a bucket of 12 and 24 softballs and baseballs, and then a bat. We have all those, and they do fairly well. But the one is just 80% of the time always the one that's clicked and always the one that's chosen, but are chosen as an ad. But then they upsell themselves later. So if you have a lot of different variants, I would use the one that has the best click-through rate. Oh, someone says, I personally think keeping all your variants is a good idea, because each variant will hit a different group. Exactly. And that's, again, it depends on the product though. T-shirt, clothing items, people know that they're just going to love the T-shirt display and then just choose the size that they want. But it depends on if your variants all of a sudden change the price from $100 to $1,000 because variant 6 has 12 different add-ons. You're going to see that one probably just not going to perform as well. And you might earn a few clicks and or you might earn a few hundred impressions. It might earn a few 10 or maybe a couple hundred clicks. And if that product doesn't sell, it means that click never went to a sale. They didn't even downgrade themselves and buy it anyway. It just never sold. So you can remove that item. Does each search size need its own GTN? No, you can actually use one GTIN, and then you can give that a a GTI for that variant if that's how your CMS is set up, and then just exclude the other variants. The GTI, if you had like 5 shirts, you know, small, medium, large, extra large, extra large, put on the large or whatever is going to be you think your best performing item is. Put the GTI on that one. I use my middle finger, so I can't put down my rest of my fingers, but just exclude the rest of them. I can't do this, sorry. So just exclude the rest of the variants and just keep GTIN on that one product. See, specific example is jewelry like rings, different size, but otherwise exactly the same. Yeah, would it make sense to just run a single variant? Yeah, that's fine. Just because if you have all of the variants, again, it doesn't mean that it's not going to ultimately lead to a sale. But if you can stop the 10 odd clicks you get per month for that one product, then that's great. Let me see if I can pull up an example of this here, actually. This one, since we're stuck on kind of illusion, you'll see here, classic, black fit operator hat, 70 sales in the last 30 days, 329 ROAS. Good. Okay, spent 1,200. Now, if I said this here, and I added a filter, it's a title, contains here, you'll see that I have other variants of it. And this one is good performance, not as good performance. We spent $100 out of this one on this one here. Now this one has not a good performance, but this one here has 213. This one does not have good. And then we had less than 10. So this one obviously is getting out of the probably 2,100, 1,950 have gone to this one here. I don't even know if we have, we have an MPN here, yeah. But this is a single, like kind of a solopreneur. He has a small team now, but he started off with just like kind of making these hats, himself. But this one has good performance here. And so you'll see that the other ones will not have as good a performance. And so we can shut these other ones off. But we're trying to scale as much as possible, and we're dipping down on our ROAS a little bit. And plus with Illusion, this turns into a nightmare when starting to shut off products, because the Illusion actually rotates its feed link every 60 days with a password. So it just becomes a cyclical nightmare. So that's the reason why this one's kind of set up this way. Is the difference between these just the size? Yeah, it's just the size. That's the only difference. So that's kind of the hard part about this is I like to show off all of the other ones. It just refreshes and resubmits as soon as I do that. So that's fun with the API in Illusion. Anything that I need to? I see a bunch of things in the chat, so I didn't know if it was anything.
I was just asking who's building while we're going and who's waiting. Oh, and Nihad just dropped in. If we started this with you guys in 3X and are doing this now, I just want to confirm what we should have at this point. I have smart shopping, general search, and now standard shopping. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, so the next couple of days, we're going to be going over all of the other ones. And then how to set those up. We're going to add like RLSA. So I don't think we did that in the 3X. We're going to go through negative keyword lists. We're going to go through placement exclusions. We're going to kind of dive into the nitty gritty of each individual campaign settings. Just because the 3X Shopify will get you up and running, but there's the masterclass that you get to now do a lot more.
Anyhow, you're not missing anything to put up on that.
Yep. Your search campaign is missing a couple of small things, and that's what we're going to be going through. So,
but I just mean she hasn't missed anything from our course. Like we haven't. Oh,
yeah. Gotcha. Sorry.
Nothing to go back to and revisit, right?
See me down those rabbit holes again. Yep, we're good.